Today, we're going to look at how we can use a microprogression to set goals that will make our writing better. We're going to do this in the genre of argument writing. We'll be looking at how we can add sources to our writing using this reason. Another reason we need longer recess time is that it would help kids focus better in class. So we're going to look at a 2-star, a 3-star, and a 4-star way that we might add sources to our writing. If we have a way to get our energy out, we can listen better. The CDC says that going to recess help kids to stay on task in the classroom. Okay, so here in our 2-star response, what we're noticing is that there's one piece of evidence right here, naming what the CDC says. So we can go ahead and jot down that in this section, we're seeing a student use evidence from the CDC. But let's now compare this to the 3-star section. A Time for Kids article by Rebecca Mordechai says physical activity can improve brain function, which helps students do better in class. The CDC says that going to recess helps kids to stay on task in the classroom. Okay, so we want to think what's happening in the 3-star example. And what we're noticing right away is there's a new piece of evidence. And it's not just any piece of evidence, it's actually a quote. So we can go ahead and jot in that this writer quotes Mordechai, right? That source from Time for Kids. Next, we're noticing that there's another piece of evidence, just like we saw in the 2-star section, the evidence from the CDC. So we can go ahead and jot that down as well. Now we're ready to look at the 4-star writing. A Time for Kids article by Rebecca Mordechai says physical activity can improve brain function, which helps students do better in class. The Center for the Disease Control backs up this information. They say that recess benefits students by improving their memory, attention, and concentration, helping them stay on task in the classroom and reducing disruptive behavior in the classroom. So, taking a look at this 4-star example, we can notice in the beginning it's the same thing as the 3-star. We see this quote from Mordechai. So, we can go ahead and jot that in, right? Quotes Mordechai. But there's something new happening here. We're seeing again information incorporated from the Center for Disease Control. But what we're noticing here is that it's not just any evidence, it's actually a quote. So we can go ahead and jot down here that this author also quotes the CDC. So now that we have our annotated microprogression, we're ready to think, how does our writing compare to this? Okay, here's our draft. So with this draft, we want to think, what level are we at right now? Let's go ahead and read. So, our draft. One reason schools should stop assigning homework is that it makes kids unhappy. A study from Stanford University says that homework can add stress to students' lives. Okay, so is this more like the 2, the 3, or the 4-star example? Well, this is more like the 2-star example because what we're noticing is we have one piece of evidence. So we want to think to ourselves, what's our next step to lift the level? So if we're at 2, we want to look at the 3-star example. And we can think, we could think about how we might add a quote in. Perhaps a quote from a different source, just like we're seeing there. So we're going to go ahead and set a goal that's going to help us revise and lift the level of our writing. And our goal can be to add a quote. And this will probably be from a separate source. So just like that, we've demonstrated how we might use a microprogression to elevate the level of our writing. Teachers, you could think, how might you do the same with your students?